So I guess a question that will be asked in the future is, what did you do in 2020? 2020, the year the world shat its pants. I mean, for a lot of us, I guess, the year 2020 was full of lows, was generally a year that most of us will want to forget, I guess. Obviously, a lot of grief through the you-know-what. A lot of grief through neglect and those that were forgotten about. And overall, I guess a year that most of us would just want to forget. So, how to approach this vlog was just a big question that I've had for a while now. And as much as it was crap for a lot of us, I guess really there is a side where there were a lot of pluses, and I guess really this is an opportunity to be able to look back and think of all the positives that came out of 2020 and celebrate and look back and enjoy the memories of ultimately what was shit for many turned out to be not so bad for some. And I guess this is kind of a reflection of my summer and how it kind of asked the question, what the fuck am I doing, basically? And I suppose ultimately kind of got me thinking a lot about the future and what am I going to do next. So I guess we can rewind to the time when Bojo the Clown made the announcement that the country was going into lockdown.
You must stay at home.
I had made a fairly hasty decision in that the best action for me was to basically go south to my mum's and camp out on her driveway. I had put myself in that category of being at risk, so therefore having to isolate for a good 10 or 12 weeks. And I guess the point of going to my mum's driveway was the comfort of being able to have resources like electric, water, a toilet that I could use, shower and so forth. And so I guess looking back, my lockdown situation was pretty comfortable. Unlike many friends of mine and people that I saw on YouTube, etc., who were just having an absolute torrid shit time due to the fact that this nation decided to basically throw its toys out of the pram. And looking back, I guess my situation was nowhere near as bad as what some of my friends were having to go through. But ultimately it came down to, could I sort of stick it out for 10 weeks, 12 weeks? It inevitably became 10 weeks. It just got too too much for me on the drive. And the best way to describe being on my mum's driveway, I guess, is it's like a slow, torturous Groundhog Day. The first week or two, you kind of live with it, and you kind of you get used to it, I suppose. But then after a while, it just gets very tiring, and it started to affect me harder than I anticipated. I think it was just the watching my mum's life kind of underneath a microscope to some extent, and seeing the monotony of her day-to-day life, and I just found it really hard to see. And no matter what I would say, or I don't know, whatever kind of advice I could give or whatever, it just seemed to fall on deaf ears a lot. And it was just frustrating to see this day in, day out, no change, this scratched record just constantly jumping back and repeating itself. And yeah, I found it really, really difficult. The plus side, I guess, was the contacts that I'd made, new friends that I'd made, who kind of were there in the background, someone to talk to. You know, Trace, Karen, you know, you guys kind of really helped that whole process of me being on my mum's drive a lot easier to go through. And I guess for all of us, the three of us, we were all a good support in one way or another, to each other individually. But there gets to a point where, I just couldn't take it any longer. I would have conversations with Jem. Now, Jem's my children's mother, and fortunately we still have a reasonable relationship and talk with each other. And some WhatsApp conversations with her, she obviously could see the plight that I was in, whether you want to call it that, and the frustrations that I was having. And one conversation that we had, she spoke about her brother who lived and worked on a farm. And she just basically said, well, why don't you give him a call? Why don't you make contact and see whether you can stay on the farm? And so the contact was made and conversations were had backwards and forwards, and then a date was put in place, and the rest of coming out of lockdown and my summer just became somewhat blurred memory, maybe, I don't know. A very good memory, a time when such amazing things happened, such amazing people were met, friendships were made, and some incredible memories that I will always treasure for years to come.